What's going on, everybody? Bobby O'Brien here. Got an awesome video for you today on the problem with alcohol and how to deal with it, right? Because if you're a busy guy that's constantly working, you probably got a lot of colleagues and coworkers and friends and family that want to go out to drink, want to drink some beer, drink some spirits or liquor, shots, or whatever it may be on the weekend. But simultaneously, you know that if you drink a lot or just have a night where you completely go off, you could completely botch your progress. We're going to go over why that happens from a physiological standpoint, as always. But I'm also going to give you some solutions at the end of this video that you can basically use to substitute beers with, substitute wine with, and any other alcoholic beverage so that you can actually get good hormonal responses so that you can lose weight without botching your progress. So leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Instagram at It's Bobby O'Brien. And without further ado, let's get right into this video here. So here's the first study that we're going to go over, right? It's pretty obvious that if you drink a lot of alcohol, you are going to gain weight, especially by way of visceral fat. If we want to get into the science a little bit here, but still keep it simple, ethanol is actually a fourth alternative macronutrient that the body can use for fuel, but it has a very difficult time assimilating it. Ethanol is just derived from alcohol, simply put. So alcohol consumption and risk of metabolic syndrome, a meta-analysis of prospective studies. So basically in English, looking at how alcohol basically affects metabolic syndrome. So take a look here. The present meta-analyses of prospective studies suggested that heavy alcohol consumption might be associated with an increased risk of metabolic syndrome, with very light alcohol consumption seen to be associated with a reduced risk of metabolic syndrome. So metabolic syndrome is basically the dysfunction of your hormones, putting you in a position where you're most likely going to gain some weight, right? So dysregulation of hormones such as ghrelin, leptins, cortisol, insulin, as well as many others that are vital for weight loss. But those are the big four, right? Your hunger hormone, ghrelin, your satiety hormone, leptin, insulin, an anabolic hormone that stores body fat, and cortisol, your stress hormone, when elevated consistently, which it is whenever you're drinking alcohol, can put you in a position where you're most likely going to store some body fat through the function of insulin. So another study here, I'm not going to waste too much time with this, but gotta give you the research to show you, what actually can happen to you from a physiological standpoint whenever you're drinking alcohol. And this is a really great one here. Randomized controlled trial on the effects of alcohol consumption on cardiometabolic health outcomes following weight loss in premenopausal women with obesity. So people that are currently obese, drinking alcohol, basically, that are women, but nonetheless they are humans, and it is a randomized controlled trial. So the pilot data here provides potential evidence that moderate alcohol consumption may counteract the beneficial effects of weight loss and support the need for larger RCTs to better investigate the metabolic effects of moderate alcohol intake during weight loss in humans. Yeah, I'm sure, but still, there's plenty of associations, plenty of studies that actually show that this is problematic, like the one I just referenced earlier. But still, even in this study, it was shown to be an issue by underlining that alcohol consumption may counteract the beneficial effects of weight loss. And the reason why it does is because ethanol can be instantly stored into the visceral fat tissue, right? What is visceral fat? Visceral fat is the fat that is built up around your organs. And the more visceral fat you have, the more likely you are to suffer from any sort of mortality risk. And literally nobody here wants to suffer from that. I don't either. And I will go right ahead and say that I will very rarely drink alcohol, but when I do, I make sure that I nurse a drink. Just drink one or two and try and make it go throughout the entire gathering. We're going to get into that as well, how you can nurse a drink and how you can still fit into the crowd if you're in a situation where everyone is drinking and it is a big occasion, but how you can do it in a way where you can still see sustainable weight loss results. Because we got to keep this, blunt here. If you drink every single weekend, 7 drinks per night, Friday through Sunday, you get to the point where you're drinking, 20 different drinks, whether it be beer or certain spirits such as, shots or a cocktail, whatever it may be. You're doing that 20 times every single weekend, week in and week out. Even if you are following a healthy diet, you're still 50-50 and you're still drinking alcohol constantly every single weekend. If that's you and you still think you can see weight loss results doing that, I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen. And, I'm not the guy for you to help you do that and to tell you, I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And what you need to hear is that you need to stop doing that. You need to find substitutions. You need to find solutions. Be open to new possibilities. And if you are not, once again, this is not for you. I'm not your guy. And certainly there are other solutions. If you're at home, especially, there's so many different, really easy seltzers that you can make. We're going to get into that here in a second. But we got to just keep it frank here. You will put on some visceral fat, you will gain some weight, and you will have some very negative health outcomes, like many others besides weight loss or weight gain, right? If you are drinking alcohol consistently. So just had to put that out there, put the science out there, just so you guys can get that full validation. But I'm sure you already know that if you're drinking alcohol consistently, it's not going to be good for you. So what about the solutions? Give me the solutions, man. What should I do? What should I do to actually still see weight loss results while still making life somewhat fun, right? So I'm going to give you 2 seltzers, right? Bit of a slippery tongue twister there, but whatever. Where you can basically get sparkly water, Topo Chico, or any other bubbly, seltzer type drink, and mix it with, certain fruit juices, as well as many other different things that still taste good, but will give you a good holistic insulin response. So, yep, what should you do about it? We just went over that. So, berry fizz mocktail, right? I just made up this term, but basically the ingredients are half a cup of mixed berries, be whatever berries you want. If you want to make it like raspberry oriented, you can use nothing but a half cup of raspberries, right? But there are some options for you: strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries. Tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of honey or agave syrup. Once again, these are fruits where, I'm sure you're saying, man, that's pretty sugary. It is. And that's why I just advise using 1 teaspoon. And this is generalized advice. It's, it can be different for everybody, right? But just keep in mind that you will get an initial postprandial insulin response with any fruit, especially honey. And it will be bigger than usual in comparison to a vegetable. But it will go back down just as fast as it came up, especially if you are metabolically healthy. Now, if you're somebody who's, chronically unhealthy, morbidly obese, and you're hyperinsulinemic, it may be a good idea for you to possibly use something that is a little bit lower in the way of fructose. Now, Topo Chico or plain seltzer water is going to be the foundation, right? So starting off, here in the instructions, right, you just get a glass, muddle the mixed berries to release the juices. You can even get a juicer if you want to take this a step further. You add in the apple cider vinegar, the honey, the agave syrup. You start to combine it, right? And then you fill the glass with ice cubes, which is another ingredient that I forgot to mention there, right? And you can even blend it too if you wanted to make it almost like a smoothie. So it's almost like a bubbly smoothie, but I prefer to just keep it in glass, just as is. So you can top it off with Topo Chico or seltzer water. It doesn't have to be in this order. Sometimes I'll just pour Topo Chico into my, glass of water and then start mixing in the berries and whatnot. But then once you're done, however you go about it, you just stir it up. This takes like 3 to 5 minutes, especially if you got everything already set up. You've got the raspberries, the honey, apple cider vinegar out, and the Topo Chico in a glass. It's not that many, tools you got to use to make this, right? And it's really, really simple, and it tastes pretty good. I've had this a few times. It tastes nice, low in fructose. So if you are somebody who is hyperinsulinemic, it's great for you, right? But if you are somebody who's metabolically healthy and can enjoy some honey, you can make it taste even better, right? And you really can mix and match this in so many different ways. You can get all these different fruits. You get mangoes, you get pineapples, whatever, as your main, foundation of fruit, and then you just mix it in. Whether you use a juicer, you just squeeze it, or whatever it is, you just throw it in with Topo Chico or seltzer water. It's like some sparkly water that kind of fizzles up. So it's nice for any of you, that want to have something that's a little bit more bubbly. So for any of you guys that are saying that this is a bitch drink, yeah, it might be, but it definitely tastes pretty damn good. And I know that some of you men out there are still getting those fruity cocktails, so watch out. I still know who you are. Anyway, still, look, you really can pull this off. You still can certainly find alternatives if you're at the house and you still want to have something that tastes somewhat good and maybe even tastes a little bit similar to a beer, right? Because a lot of people really like that bubbly sensation whenever they're drinking beer, right? And I'll admit it, I kind of like it too, even though I have found a way to completely eliminate alcohol from my diet just by enjoying my diet itself. Hopefully we can get you guys to that point though. So citrus, apple, cider, sparkler, right? Another random name I came up with. But the ingredients, half an orange, juiced if you can. You could just squeeze it. Half a lime, tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of maple syrup or honey. I would honestly go with honey. It is optional, so that's why I put it there. Ice cubes and the foundation of Topo Chico or lemon lime seltzer. So you have like a lemon lime sparkly water. You can use that as well. I typically would recommend the Topo Chico more so than the lemon lime seltzer because sometimes there could be some sucralose in some of those sparkly waters or that seltzer water. So just baseline Topo Chico or, plain sparkly water would be just fine, just so you can make sure that it's just natural fruit sugar that comes from, oranges or limes or whatever fruits you use, and it's not coming from, some artificial garbage. So once again, it's really simple. You can either, start with juicing the fruit first, or you can pour in the Topo Chico first. Either way, you just pour it all in, mix it in, add your ice cubes, stir it, and then you're all good to go. Once again, yeah, it's another bitch drink, but it certainly tastes good. It is bubbly, and it definitely tastes similar to an alcoholic beverage, right? So if you're somebody that's sitting here like, man, Bobby, I don't want to drink these bitch drinks. I'm still having a hard time, actually adapting to these social environments, and I do want to have some drinks, but I want to know how I can actually adapt in the right way. So this next slide is going to be for you. So like I said at the beginning of this video, you can start by nursing a drink, right? Look, I'm going to say this just right off the bat. If you're somebody that doesn't have the self-control to actually just drink 1 to 3 drinks inside a social gathering, that's a problem, man. And to be honest, I'm probably not your guy. This is not some alcoholic awareness program. But I gotta just be straight up with you. You gotta actually identify the root causes why you want to drink 8 drinks Friday, Saturday, and Sunday each. Because it's probably something underlying, something that's going on in your life. It could be stress related, but it's most likely emotionally driven. Identifying that emotion and actually breaking it down is going to help you, much more so than me just telling you to, not drink. And I know that, right? From people that I've worked with in the past and, certain experiences that I've had with other clients that really just have a really tough time, abiding by this. But every single time it really was emotionally driven. So if you're that person, I'm not your guy to just, continue to tell you to, not drink. I would start by just identifying the emotion and also just identifying, what this is doing to you, what this is doing to your weight loss goals, right? It's just botching them. I referenced 2, one was an RCT, another was an observational study, but 2 research studies that show that if you drink alcohol consistently, it's not going to be beneficial to you at all whatsoever, not just from a weight gaining standpoint, a fat gaining standpoint, but also from an overall health standpoint. It's not going to be healthy. And just have to say that, just have to clear the air with that. If you're somebody that is just, drinking Friday through Sunday, I'm not your guy, and this isn't for you, right? If you can't follow these methods, I don't know what to say. And you got to have some self-control if you actually want to see results, on your own or through my program, right? But if you are somebody that still can get away, you feel like you can still feel good, having a drink or 2, or maybe even 3 drinks at most in a social gathering, right? You feel like you get by with that and that's okay with you, then you can pull that off, right? If you're somebody that wants to slowly transition, right, from 7 drinks on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to maybe 3 Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's a win. That's progression, right? Nursing a drink, getting maybe a taller beer, and just drinking it slowly. So many people will just drink the shit out of their beers and be halfway done when they just ran their tab 2 minutes ago. Just take a sip, take it easy, and it will actually make the gathering more enjoyable because then you're going to be sober enough to formulate sentences that make coherent sense. So I'm not sure about you guys, but whenever I'm going out or if I'm at a social gathering, that's typically what I do, especially if I'm driving home. I feel like that's pretty obvious, to have 2 drinks at most and to nurse it, right? Just so, you're not getting blackout wasted, because there's no reason to, right? If you're one of those people that wants to get blackout wasted, there's an emotionally driven problem that you need to identify first before following this advice, which is what I just said earlier. But 2, if you are nursing a drink, I don't know why those balloons keep popping up. Anyway, 2, if you are nursing a drink, you're going to be able to still adapt, but not get so many of the negative effects that would come from excessive drinking. So it's great for fitting in. It's great for just extending your period of time at a gathering without getting too wasted or without seeing too much in the way of negative benefits that would come from excessive ethanol or alcohol consumption, which of course then in turn leads to weight gain. So nurse a drink would be the first option, right, to basically get past the alcohol limitations here, the alcoholic barrier. Or number 2 is to find an alternative at the house. Man, what the hell are these balloons? Anyway, number 2, of course, is to basically make like something homemade, right? And those are just 2 ideas. You can make 10 of those by mix and matching all these different fruits. You can do pineapples, you can do mangoes, you can do bananas, you can do whatever. I typically like to do this, a lower fructose fruit, oranges, limes, and some mixed berries, right? But that's about it for this video. Just want to actually give you some solutions and tell you why, drinking alcohol is definitely not beneficial. But once again, just to kind of drive this home here, if you're somebody that really feels like neither of these strategies are going to work, this probably isn't for you. I'm not your guy, and you definitely need to identify the emotional aspects of your issues and identify that first and break it down more from like a mental and psychological standpoint, so you can therefore put yourself in a position where you now can follow these strategies. You are in a ability, right? Sorry for the English there. You're in a position where you can actually nurse a drink or come up with something different that can substitute those drinks. Because eventually we would like to get you guys to the point where you are consistently losing weight without having to rely on these strategies and without having to drink at all during the weekend. That's the end goal. And like you've seen in my testimonials, in my case studies, all the clients that I have worked with have seen amazing results. And some of them were drinking a little bit on the weekend, right? But the ones that were not, like Chris, like Joel, and of course myself, were not drinking pretty much ever, right? Or very rarely, socially, on rare occasions, not drinking that much in the way of alcohol. Those are the guys that see the most in the way of weight loss results. So just by using that motivation, other people's successful results, as well as your past results, that's what's really going to help you motivate yourself to not drink alcohol too. Because then you'll actually have, something to kind of compare. Maybe I don't want to say your addiction here. It could be your addiction, right? But you're basically going to have some leverage over your cravings for alcohol. And by identifying those past results, you're going to put yourself in a position where it's much easier for you to not drink 8 drinks and maybe instead drink 3, or instead just have, a mixed, seltzer or something like that, or to maybe even not drink at all in the future, or maybe even right now. So hope you enjoyed this video. Follow me on Instagram at It's Bobby O'Brien. Like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Or if you want me to fully customize a program for you and actually give you a ton of different ideas on how you can actually substitute alcohol, with healthy options that are going to give you a good insulin response while making it taste similar to beer, you know what to do. Click the link in the video description down below and you can book your one-on-one call with me today. So I will see you all in the next video.